Women are not making it to the top of any profession anywhere in the world. The numbers tell the story quite clearly. 190 heads of state, 9 are women. Of all the people in parliament in the world, 13% are women. In the corporate sector, women at the top, C-level jobs, board seats, tops out at 15-16%.
As one can see, India's economy is growing with an increase in GDP, and a working age population is expected to climb to over 800 million people by 2050, which will be even more than countries like China. Despite this growth, less than one quarter, which is 20.3% of women aged 15 and older, participate in labor force. As of 2020, India's low labor force participation rate for women is due to the restrictive cultural norms regarding women's work, the gender wage gap, an increase in time spent for women continuing their education, and a lack of safety policies and flexible work offerings. Recent job stagnation and high unemployment rates for women, exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic, also keep women out of the labor force.
Only 3.7% of CEOs and managing directors of NSE-listed companies were women in 2019, a number that has increased just slightly from 3.2% in 2014. 8.9% firms have women in top management positions. As of 2019, just 29 companies, which is 5.8% on the Fortune India 500 list, had women in executive roles. Women account for only 13.8% of board of directors from listed companies in India, and the ratio of men to women at each position in the corporate world is even worse. Now I would like you to have a look at these graphs.
Before this year, Women in the Workplace research had consistently found that women and men leave their companies at comparable rates. However, due to the challenges created by the COVID-19 crisis, as many as 2 million women are considering leaving the workforce. If these women feel forced to leave the workspace, we'll end up with far fewer women in leadership and far fewer women on track to be future leaders. All the progress we've seen over the past 6 years could be erased.
Through a vast network of ITIs under the National Apprenticeship Promotion Scheme, almost 23 lakh women have enrolled into 1 and 2-year courses developing skills in office management, electronics, fashion design and technology, computer-aided embroidery and designing. Active participation is also seen in new age job roles aligned to Industry 4.0 like those in artificial intelligence, 3D printing, data analytics, and also across in skills like welding and automobile mechanics.
Mandeshi Foundation, Shri Mahila Seva Sahakari Bank Limited, and Sri Sarda Math Rasik Bhita are working exclusively on skill development of women, especially in rural areas. The training constitutes imparting digital, accounting, and entrepreneurial skills so as to facilitate the possibility of setting up their own business. A recent statistic suggested that women's involvement in the healthcare sector constitutes a majority.
The National Skill Development and Policy focuses on inclusive skill development with the objective of increased women participation for better economic productivity. To achieve this, infrastructure has been developed to provide flexible training, local needs of community, gender-sensitive training environment, hiring female trainers, and equity in remuneration. It will be very difficult to force companies and organizations to give proportionate representation to women in workspaces. But what can be done is for women to begin to work on their own organizations. The most effective and efficient method of doing this would be to get women from rural areas to start their own businesses.
Consider the case of Gram Panchayats. According to a study by UN, after the enactment of reservation of seats for women in institutions, the economic growth of the panchayats has been extraordinary. The success rate of women contestants is higher than men, being 6.4% for men and 9.3% for women. If an entire panchayat driven by women can perform well, then consider the case of a business run by them. According to Kaufman Foundation, private technology companies led by women are more capital efficient, achieving 35% higher ROI and, when venture-backed, 12% higher revenue than startups run by men. Women-founded companies in the first round capital's portfolio outperformed companies founded by men by 63%. In a study of over 350 startups, Mass Challenge and BCG determined that businesses founded by women deliver higher revenue, more than 2 times as much per dollar invested than those founded by men, making women-owned companies better investments for financial bankers. The authors calculated that VCs could have made an additional $85 million over 5 years if they just invested equally in both the women and men-founded startups. Despite the severe funding gap, startups founded and co-founded by women actually performed better over time, generating 10% more in cumulative revenue over a 5-year period, according to BCG. Companies in the MSCI World Index with strong women leadership generated a return on equity of 10.1% per year versus 7.4% for those without strong women leadership, according to MSCI ESG research.
According to the American Express, women-owned businesses are growing much faster than all businesses. From 2007 to 2018, women-owned businesses grew by 58% in terms of number of firms and 46% in terms of revenue. What's driving these numbers are women of color. Women of color over the same period of time are starting businesses at a much faster rate. The number of firms owned by African American women has grown by 164% since 2007. There is a strong, statistically significant correlation between the diversity of management teams and overall innovation. Companies that reported above average diversity on their management teams also reported innovation revenue that was 19 points higher than that of companies with below average leadership diversity. 45% of total revenue versus just 26. Moreover, diverse companies have 22% lower turnover rates. Less staff turnover creates a stronger company, which aids growth immensely. Latino women-owned businesses saw more than 87% growth between 2007 and 2012, according to the Project Diane. Women were the sole or majority owners of an estimated 12.3 million US businesses at the beginning of 2018 and were starting additional businesses at the rate of about 1,800 per day, according to the 2018 Women-Owned Businesses report commissioned by the American Express. According to Golden Seeds, many women-led startups are led by serial entrepreneurs, bringing a wealth of experience to companies that need to scale quickly. In 2017, serial entrepreneurs were 1/3 of women-led businesses in which Golden Seeds network invested, marking a significant shift. An effective method of giving women the tools to act would be to get government funding or a startup fund. When women finish their courses from the ITIs, they can be given a fixed fund to begin a business of their choice. In order to prevent misdirection of funds, the government can step in to take a stake in the business.
Another way of providing skills would be the incorporation of apprenticeship program in the school curriculum. This way, students can develop skills at a young age and can be eligible for a job and have the skills to be a productive asset to the society. One effective method of doing this is through private sector cooperation. Companies can give students the skills and tools to make a difference.
While government interference in the functioning of a private organization is a blatant abuse of power, it is possible to give companies tax concessions for hiring as well as promoting women to top management positions. Tapping into the insight both men and women can offer to make products and services more marketable and a business more profitable. In fact, a recent study from McKinsey shows that gender diverse businesses are 15% more likely to outperform financially above the industry median.
With respect to the aspect of state funding, misappropriation of funds and widespread corruption are the primary issues. The program must be under the purview of the Ministry of Women and Child Development. Proper appropriation must be taken up as soon and as seriously as possible. The private sector will give the most positive response. The extent of the tax paid by companies is extremely high, and with tax concessions, companies are bound to comply with incentives and regulations. Presently, several companies have a damaged social reputation. Companies being given a chance to redeem themselves and help society is a steal deal. This can not just benefit the students but even act as the company's corporate social responsibility, uplifting its social image.
In conclusion, building a more inclusive corporate world will not only propel India in the right direction, it will also change the way women and girl children are seen and treated across the country.
Integration with schemes like Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, India's daughters have the capability to place the spotlight on India at a global platform.